back again for another walk and talk. I'm enjoying these walks and talks, so thanks for joining me. Helps me get out a bit more, put in my steps for the day, which I'm enjoying doing, and of course being out a bit more in the nice weather. Today's conversation, well, it's going to be about pubs and why pubs are rubbish. You heard me right, they're rubbish. I'm going to start by saying this. If you're a drinker and you like beers, and I'm only talking about beers here now, I'm not talking about stouts or shorts, I'm talking about beer, then there's a chance that you're drinking beer in a country that isn't Germany or the Czech Republic or Slovakia or one of these places, okay? And so, why am I talking about one of these places? Well, because you don't know what beer is until you've had a beer in one of these places. So what do I mean by that? If you're a beer drinker in Ireland, you're probably talking about how bad the beer is in America, that they have some of the worst beer in the world. And it's known for that the beers there are just horrid. And so in Ireland, you're drinking beer that's, especially in the 80s and 90s, that's mostly from the Dutch. The Dutch are pretty clever. The Dutch realised that they could buy out all the lager breweries in other countries in Western Europe and replace all of those beer breweries with absolute horse urine of beer. And the thing is that you won't know that it's equine urine until you drink beer from a place like the Czech Republic or Germany, and you get a fresh beer and it's a real beer and it's got no carbon dioxide in it to keep it bubbly. This is a fresh bubbly beer. It tastes different in all sorts of ways. It's the real beer you've been chasing all along, even though it might have a big head in it. And you often hear people in England and Ireland complaining, oh, I'm not paying for that. It's because they need all of that equine urine to enjoy it, I guess is the word. But the fact is that it's swill. And the Dutch were good at that, replacing all of the craft lagers and the lager breweries with utter swill. So if you grew up in Ireland in especially the 80s or the 90s and you were drinking lager, you have no clue what you're doing or what you're consuming. It's absolute horrid, and you paid through the nose for it, and it got more and more expensive, and maybe you're still paying through the nose for it. Lager in Western Europe, the Dutch came in and they realised, you guys have no idea what it tastes like, so we'll give you the bottom barrel stuff. Now this is no joke, but if you're in Germany or the Czech Republic, homeless people are drinking better quality beer than you are with your €5 beer, and you won't know that until you investigate for yourself. It's the biggest con when it comes to drinking in pubs that I know about. And the last time I was in a pub in Ireland, and I grew up there, the last time I went in, I said, "Do you have a craft beer?" And the barman said, "And you'll pay for it too?" It was something like, I don't know, €6 for the beer, for the craft beer. And what he was trying to say was, don't be drinking the craft beer, that's too expensive. And obviously he's not making as much money off it as the swill lager. And he wants you to buy a swill lager instead. Barmen, bar owners are not your friends. They're selling you absolute crap for a ton of money. Now it's about lager. I'm not talking about stouts, and I'm not talking about liquor. That's another story. I'm talking about lager. And it happens that people who have a beer in the Czech Republic or Germany, go back to America, Ireland, England, they won't touch lager again. Or when they do, they're utterly disappointed, because the realization dawns that they're being charged for rubbish. So there's a reason to stop drinking lager, there's that. But of course you're going to say, oh, then we're going to switch to German beers and Czech beers and well, they'll give you a sore tummy and you won't have a headache, because the headache comes from CO2 that they have in lager in Western Europe, as opposed to a fresh beer. So anyway, there's a reason not to be drinking lagers, if there ever was one. And to continue on with why pubs are a load of crap, and they are. It's because of this. Your best time, or long gone, is when you're in your early 20s. You're having a laugh with your friends. You're discovering all the alcohols in a legal way, because you're old enough to drink. Or maybe if you're watching this in America, you're 21. And you're having a laugh and a ball. And you're all doing silly things. And it's funny. But here's what happens. As the years go by and you go to the pub, you're chasing that laugh again, and it's not hitting, and so you laugh at anything just to try and make things funny again, and you laugh at stupid things, and you talk about the most mundane stupid things to laugh at. And if you were talking about those anywhere else than a pub, they'd be lame, boring, superficial, non-funny banter. So you're chasing something that is gone. So every time you go to the pub, not only are you sort of wasting your time trying to chase something which is long gone, but you're rolling the dice on if it's going to be a good night or not. I'll tell you one of the reasons, top of all the others, why I left the bars and stopped drinking. I've been 25 months sober. Is because that roll of the dice, you can have some really bad nights in the bar. Like, looking forward to it all month. I'm going out Saturday night, woo, and having an absolutely crap time. And other people can make it crap for you. Or it just didn't kick off in the way you were hoping it would. Or it was ultra boring, or there was some crap news, or something happened. So every time you're looking forward to going out for a drink and having a bit of a blast, there's a good chance you're not. And you're just rolling the dice on it being good or not for that evening. And as I got older, I realised how absolutely pathetic it was. And not only that, but some of the people that frequent bars are some of the most horrible people you can meet in real life, and sometimes the barmen are as well. If you get a barman who's a rancid guy or gal, they can make it hell. I remember one guy, he was so negative, and he was off making tea to the side which nobody could see, and what he was doing was he'd wait for the tea to cool down, and when the tea had cooled down enough he'd top up the spirits with it, effectively stealing money from the bar, selling extra shots which were watered down. He was a horrible gombeen, that fella. In fact, he got caught drink driving, and the judge said to him, "You have to pay a certain amount now, and you can go driving after, 4 or 5 months or whatever. You have to pay a certain amount though." He was being fined. And he decided, in his infinite wisdom, not to pay the fine. And the judge said to him, "Well, if you're not going to pay the fine, then you have to go to jail." And he said, "All right, I'll go to jail." I still had to pay the fine. Some people, that fella. So anyway, as we say, things came home to roost. So horrible people in the bar. So I met another barman, and he'd stopped working as a barman. Actually, I've met a fair few who say the same thing. And I said, "You used to be a barman over at so-and-so." And they go, "Yeah." I say, "How was it?" And they say, "I hated it there." "Why? Wasn't the work suited you or whatever? You seemed happy enough." And he goes, "Oh yeah, I didn't mind the work, but some of the people there are absolutely horrible. Some of the worst people you'll ever meet." I understood. I hope I'm not one of them. I don't think so. But I get what he means. Because the thing about going to the bar is there's also a certain type of individual that wants to go to the bar. And they're called agent provocateur. The agent provocateur doesn't have a very good life. Life is quite crap. And they don't like to see people being happy if they're unhappy. And one of the best joints they can take themselves off to despise people who seem to be jolly and happy and try to make them feel unhappy is a pub. So even if you're in the pub and it's gone well, agent provocateur can show up. And everybody kind of knows who they are. Better watch out for that fella. He's an awful tool, that fella. Stay away from him. Don't be talking to him. These fellas, they'd get up in your face eventually, or they'd maneuver in just when you're not looking, and there they are standing beside you, chatting about something mundane and nice and inconsequential. And then, "Why are you so happy? What you smiling about?" They're into you. They try to make you feel as miserable as they are. So you'll find that there's a chance of running into those fellas in the pub, or gals, even if things are going well. In some parts of the world, the pub is not a social hub, or not as much as a social hub as it is in other parts of the world. In Ireland, the pub as a social hub is absolutely booming. And there are reasons for that. The unemployed Irishman or hard-working Irishman with no money all go to the pub, discuss their grievances with each other, drink, and get even more depressed. There's a good book called Angela's Ashes. It's also a film. It's all about that, all about pub life of the father. The father goes to the pub and he has a pub life. And so Ireland very much cultivated it. And it was probably one of the worst things that ever happened to Ireland, was that they cultivated a social life around the pub. Anything else but a pub. But no, the pub it is. And of course, that comes with all the various baggage that I've been talking about so far. Ireland and England to some degree, the Vintners Association got extremely powerful in these places. And actually, it was the Catholic Church at the time who was the opposition to it. Now, why the Catholic Church? And the answer is because at confession, they'd hear all the stories that people would tell them. They're like, you know, psychotherapy before there was psychotherapists. And people go to confession, they'd say, my husband was doing this, my wife was doing this, I was doing this, Sunday morning they'd see who's hungover. They were opposed to it because they realised that really wasn't a good demonstration of the way they were hoping their communities would behave. And I remember in the pub when we'd be chatting about the church, here's what you'd hear. Sure, I like going to the mass. I like all the rituals and the ceremonies. When that priest gets up in the pulpit, I turn off. I stop listening to him. And they had their Pioneers Association, it was called Pioneers Association, where you could sign up with the church not to drink. I know a few fellas who did that for life, never touched drink all their life. They pioneer pins. So yeah, the Pioneers. You don't see much of them anymore. How powerful is the Vintners Association? So a few years ago, quite a few years ago, from around the time of lockdown, scientists discovered that alcohol was cancer causing. It's a cancer causing agent, a carcinogen. Has properties associated with malignant tumour growth. And so they reported their findings. Cancer causing agent. So if you're selling a product in the European Union and it's known to cause cancer, and especially if the product is for consumption, you have to list it as being harmful and cancer causing. So if you see cigarettes, for example, all cigarettes come with a warning sign on the cigarettes that it's cancer causing. If you haven't seen a film called The Insider with Al Pacino and Russell Crowe, then I suggest you watch it. The Insider. And basically it's about how big tobacco chemically altered cigarettes to make them more addictive, and how all of the big CEOs of big tobacco were in court and they raised their hands and swore under oath and testified that they did not believe that nicotine was addictive or harmful. But here's the thing, they didn't count on a chemist who had been hired by one of the big tobacco firms to make nicotine more addictive. When they realized that he was going to the newspapers to say that these guys had lied under oath, they made his life hell. So the film is called The Insider. Al Pacino, Russell Crowe. Crowe plays the chemist, Al Pacino the journalist, reporting the story. It's directed by Michael Mann, who did Heat. Highly recommended, great film. So anyway, big alcohol in Ireland. Well, the report came in, alcohol causes cancer. So by law, you're supposed to put a sticker on your product says that this causes cancer. Just sit down, take a rest. I've been recording now for quite a while, so I'm just going to rest. So, Vintners Association. So the Vintners Association of Ireland has lobbied the government into not putting warning stickers on alcoholic beverages about the beverage being a cancer-causing agent. So that's how powerful the Vintners Association is. And if you go look it up on the news, you'll see that the Irish government has basically postponed it. That they're saying things like, oh, this is going to take a bit longer to implement than we originally envisaged. In other words, as the labels are being printed now, there's a master file somewhere with an image for that label, and they just can't copy and paste a warning onto that master image for that product. Because that's ridiculous. That's a 2-second job. What can you say about that, you know? They won't put a warning label on alcoholic beverages that they are cancer causing because, and their excuse is what? Because it'd be too hard to implement right now. We have to plan for it better. Of course, that's a load of rubbish. Print some sticky labels and employ somebody to put them on. There you go, there's a job. Go around the place putting these stickers on alcoholic beverages. They won't do that either. And why won't they do it? And the answer is clear. Because they want people to buy the drink and pay the tax on the drink. Because people are going to drink. So you might as well tax them. And as for putting a warning label on there, well, you don't want to deter them too much. You don't want to totally kill off the industry altogether now, do you? Going back on my walk again. So what advantages are there to giving up drinking and going to the pub? Well, there's the financial advantage. You save money. And these days, it's a lot of money that you save. Another advantage to not drinking is you're not vomiting on your way home at night. And I don't care who says that they've never done it. Of course they do it. Because there are people out walking on Saturday and Sunday morning and they see the results all over the place. It's disgusting. So you're not contributing to that anymore. You're not going to have a sore head in the morning. For 25 months, I've not had a sore head in the morning. I don't know what hangovers are anymore. And that in itself might be worth quitting alcohol over. No more sore tummies. I'm not stuck on a couch for the entire day going, I'm not sitting there barely alive. So that's another huge advantage to giving up that I can think of. What other advantages are there? Time. And that's significant because time is not a commodity in the regular sense of what a commodity is. Time does have value, of course. If you've seen that film with Justin Timberlake, In Time, it's a science fiction film. If you haven't seen that, check it out. About the value of time, how time is monetized. Time is life. According to Einstein, time is relative. According to general relativity, time is a quality of space. It's like a fourth dimension. Space-time is how it should be referred to as. So you get your space-time back. So what do you do instead? How do you socialize? Well, that's the challenge. Nobody's actually going to answer that question for you. Because it's one you gotta figure out for yourself. Like, I'm not gonna say, go to coffee shops instead. Go to the movies instead. Go to the gym instead. I'm not gonna say that. The main reason why I'm not going to say that is because I think that this is part of sobriety, which is individual to who you are. More importantly, who you are becoming, which is really your true self. Your true self, there is no greater reward, says Jung, than discovering and living your authentic life. An authentic life, your true life, your real life.